Carolyn Dube here. Oh, what's the play for today? Well, it's going to involve a stack of stencils, a gel plate, and an art journal. Now, the stencils that I'm using, I'm very excited to announce to you because they are this month's Stencil Club collection. Now, this month, it's actually a mashup between Mary Beth Shaw and myself, so you've got influences from both of us in these stencils. And what they look like? Well, this is the 4x4 size. This is the 6x6. And then this is the 9x12, 12x9, either way, both ways work. And you might be thinking, wait, that doesn't look like it's 9 inches by 12 inches. And you're right, it's not now, but it was. When I got the stencil, it looked like this. So you have all these designs on here, and then just using scissors, you cut them apart, and that way you end up with all those different designs. Now in this video, I'm going to share with you some ways that you can use them with a gel plate to create an art journal page. So let's get some color going here. What I've got is just a plain page in an altered book journal. And if you haven't done an altered book journal before, what it basically is you take an old book and you start art journaling on the pages. Didn't do any prep work, nothing like that. I like to do things the fast and easy way. Kind of like the stenciling that I'm doing here. This is going to be some very quick stenciling by just simply thwapping that plate right on top of that stencil. And that's going to give you a very loose, very mixed media kind of vibe to it because it's not perfect when you do it that way, but it is fast. Now, if I want to get something really detailed, to really showcase the details, like on this stencil, it's got all these wonderful squiggly circles to it. Well, that's when I put the stencil first on the gel plate, then put the paint on top of it. And what I'm going to get are all those fine details in there. I really want that sort of blended out kind of look to this. So that's why as I'm putting the paint on, I'm really only brayering it over about 2/3 of this stencil. And that's going to allow it to kind of look like it's sort of fading away into the page. One of the cool things about being a member of Stencil Club is not just getting exclusive stencils every month, but it's also the fact that there's a members only video using those stencils by the artists or artists that designed them. And so this month, it's going to be Mary Beth Shaw and I together showing you 2 different takes on how you can use these stencils. One of the perks of having a mashup collection like this means you have a lot of options and choices. So I built this background and I realized I had some pockets or areas that I wanted to fill in. And I wanted something that would be a bit of a contrast to that loose circle vibe that I've got going on. So that's why I picked this stencil to get those wonderful vertical lines. One of the challenges of working in an altered book is the center of the book because it doesn't go perfectly flat. But you can limit the impact of that if you really hold the book open tightly, and then as you're stenciling, just push that stencil in there. That way you'll get the image or pattern to go all the way across that. But as I'm looking at this, definitely the valley in the middle of the book is standing out to me. And it's standing out to me because there isn't any color right on that. See how the teal just goes right at that line, right at the crease there in the center? And the yellow doesn't quite come all the way over from the other side? That's really making that center part stand out. So I wanted to put just a little bit of yellow in there, so that's where I brought in the Marabou art crayon. What's about to happen next? Well, it's an oops, an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. As I was painting in part of the shapes there from the gel print earlier, I immediately went, oh, I don't like all this white space on here. I really didn't like that white space. But once I added a touch of orange to it and painted over it, I suddenly fell in love with it. That bit of a pastel vibe to that orange just made me completely happy as soon as I saw it on there. And I never would have gotten to that if I hadn't made the mistake or the oops of the white paint. The next thing I wanted to add to this page was some journaling, some writing, and guess what? There's wet paint all over this page. And wet paint and pens usually are not a good combination. So I'm trying to kill a little time here to give stuff time to dry by just adding touches of color here and there. But I'm not that patient and I'm not willing to wait that long, so that paint is dry enough for me. And so I'm going to bring in a white Posca pen here to do a little bit of scribble journaling. As I'm finishing this side up, I'm starting to eyeball the other side. I've got some ideas of some writing that I want to do over there. This kind of idea in my head, and I'm sure it's going to work out just fine. Yeah, a little foreshadowing there for you. As I add a bit of scribble journaling here, right away I kind of go, oh. And so what do? I add some more of it and see what I think, and yeah, not making it any better to me. But what I can do is wipe some of it off, give it a bit more of a hazy, loose vibe to it. And now I actually like it. For the last bit of journaling and writing that I'm going to add on here, I chose to use a fountain pen. And the reason why I like to use a fountain pen is, one, it'll give me a really fine line with this, but two, it's a pen that can handle a little more abuse. You see, because there are no working parts like a roller ball or anything like that, or it doesn't have a felt tip, that means when I drag it through paint, when I get it in stuff that I probably shouldn't get it into, then all I have to do is wipe off the nib and this pen is good to go. So if you're trying to write on paint that isn't 100% fully dry, then I really encourage you to give a fountain pen a try, just because they can handle a lot more abuse than a traditional pen. Well, thanks so much for joining me for today's play. If you've been enjoying this video, I'd so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to know more about Stencil Club, link down below for you that'll take you right over to get all the information. Thanks so much for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.